We're going to go to another form of a collision sport, contact sport, MMA.
Fans around the world have been waiting for. It's time!
On the Taco Bell hotline, two of the proprietors, friends of the show, Jordan and Brian. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, guys. How's it going?
All right. And listen, and y'all have done great. I follow y'all on Twitter. Tell the listeners y'all's Twitter following handle or Twitter handle they can follow.
Yeah, definitely. Twitter.com/nonstop MMA. That's the best place to follow it.
And over 1,000 followers. I'm one of those 1,000 plus.
And we appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely. And we appreciate y'all coming on, talking about MMA. Strikeforce at work last evening, a number of competitions. And as you've mentioned on this show before, Strikeforce now part of the world of Dana White and UFC. Talk to us about last evening.
Yeah, last night was the Strikeforce Heavyweight Grand Prix semifinal, which is kind of just the highlights. The main event was Josh Barnett versus Sergey Kharitonov and Daniel Cormier versus Antonio Silva. And Josh Barnett won, and Daniel Cormier won, and they're going to be facing each other probably in early 2012 for the Strikeforce Heavyweight Grand Prix title. Jacare Sousa also lost his middleweight title to Luke Rockhold. Overall, it was a great night of fights on Strikeforce over on Showtime, and really exciting night.
Now, in addition to that, basically the next month there's a UFC card every week for the next 4 weeks. Starting off this weekend with Fight Night, Shields versus Ellenberger. Then UFC 135, John Bones Jones and Rampage Jackson for the light heavyweight title. Then UFC Live, which will be you'll have the Bantamweight Championship, Dominic Cruz against Demetrius Johnson. And then UFC 136 in Houston, the Lightweight Championship, Gray Maynard versus Frankie Edgar.
That's right, and Kenny Florian versus Jose Aldo are also fighting on that card.
Absolutely. So we made, to save maybe gas, maybe we should convoy, or maybe we get something where we get us and the listeners and head down to Houston and have a blast.
That's right. MMA and Nonstop will definitely be at UFC 136. The great part about UFC 136 is there's also a fan expo going on Friday and Saturday. I think it's at the George Brown Convention Center right there by the Toyota Center. A great opportunity for fans to come out, meet their favorite fighters, and really kind of catch the the hype of the MMA and the UFC.
And y'all may not know this. This is kind of a fun fact. I was privileged enough to be in a few scenes in the movie that was filmed here, Circle of Pain.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, Eve Edwards is in there a lot, and he's with my best friend from college and teammate Dean Kane, who was in there with Tony Sheena and a bunch of guys, Kimbo Slice and whatnot. But, yours truly plays a professional football player in a few scenes.
Nice.
So I am not trying to fight up anybody. Those days hopefully are over and gone. But we would like to see if we could catch up with y'all and head down to Houston for that.
Speaking of someone whose days might be over and done, guys, fill everyone in on the Nick Diaz, George St. Pierre drama.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Nick Diaz handled a championship bout, basically the worst you could possibly handle it in the weeks and months leading up to this fight. Diaz basically dropped off the radar, and for all the pre-fight hype, he wasn't answering calls. He didn't show up to press events, and his trainer, Dana White, nobody knew where he was, and he basically got dropped from a championship fight and the opportunity to win a belt in the UFC. Right after, he basically gave everything up in Strikeforce and wasn't. He dropped his belt there, left it to come take this fight against George St. Pierre, and then went dark, and now has moved down to a co-main event that's not for a belt, not fighting for a belt against BJ Penn.
Do you think he just has anxiety issues? But a lot of people know that he just fights for the money. He doesn't really love what he does, but he's good at it and he makes good money. So you think he just didn't feel – he said he felt like he was kind of trapped, that if he actually won the fight, then he'd be stuck. What do you think about that?
Nick Diaz, the thing that he hates the most is he hates the media. I've been on media conference calls when he's saying, he's like, "You guys are taking me away from valuable training time. I hate doing this." And I think he just didn't want to do it. He just didn't want to show up. He might have some anxiety issues, and that's kind of leads into some of the way he trains. But the spotlight, he kind of doesn't want it. He just likes to fight. He wanted to box. Nick Diaz, he wants to go out there. Honestly, I think this fight coming up against BJ Penn now at the co-main event at UFC 137 is going to be a great fight. People always talked about, what if BJ Penn fights Nick Diaz? On paper, it looks like a great fight. Carlos Condit stepped in for Nick Diaz, who he lost, fought Dong Young Kim over at UFC 132, and he looked great. That's going to be a great fight against GSP at UFC 137. So all in all, two great fights came out of it. Unfortunate for Nick Diaz, it cost him a title shot. He's lucky he didn't cost him his job.
Well, that I would agree with as well. It's interesting because I try to keep up. I read what y'all do. I love how you put the stories, and I know, Brian, you do a lot in that regard, and the tweets, and you can stay up to the minute with all things MMA. And you also have a website, correct?
We do. MMANonstop.com. It's the first place for all you want to go for all your news and notes. It's got news from all over the web on there. We're actually right in the middle of redoing it, and 2.0 should launch right around October 1st, and it's going to be really exciting. Some good interactive polls, some good opportunity for people to win some prizes, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
And even bigger news is UFC now has a network deal. They're going to be on Fox and FX, and the FX deal is incredible. 2 seasons of the Ultimate Fighter reality show per year, which means, 24 weeks, there'll be a fight every Friday night. And then, go ahead.
And you're exactly right. It is a huge deal. And what makes it even more huge is the main events or the heavyweights that are fighting on the Fox card. It's
exactly
the fact that now you're going to have some really big guys, some really big names, some really exciting fights on Fox where a casual fan can accidentally turn the channel and find it. I think it's going to be really big for the UFC.
Yeah, they get to just stumble across the heavyweight championship fight.
Yeah, that's November 12th on Fox. Cain Velasquez is fighting Junior Dos Santos, and Fox is really rolling out the red carpet for him. It's going to be kind of like a Super Bowl atmosphere. It's going to be in Anaheim, California. If you have a chance to get out there, it's going to be a great time. But it's going to be a great fight, and you're going to see also on that card. It's rumors that Clay Guida is fighting Ben Henderson, which is going to be another fantastic card for people to see.
Well, listen, we want the listeners to know that right here in Austin, Texas, you can get all the premier breaking news on MMA through these two gentlemen, their website. Great guys. We hang out with them at different events throughout here in Central Texas. And also, we're looking to go down to Houston, have some fun down there. Fan Expo at the George R. Brown Center. That convention center is huge. Gentlemen, thank you. Appreciate your time today on Laying Down the Law. Always a pleasure. Follow these guys on Twitter, and anytime MMA news is breaking, nonstopmma.com. Y'all are the best.
Thank you so much. And guys, if you want to join us at 1:35, there's no football game. Texas Longhorns on a bye at third base downtown and in Round Rock. We'd love to see you guys come by.
Hey, appreciate it. Thanks, y'all, and we'll talk to you soon. Jordan and Brian, MMA Nonstop, and their website, nonstopmma.com.